Master of Fire 2: The Gift of Names. Written and performed by Zagora Keel. Fire and I were joined as one on the first day we met. After what felt like an eternity of online chatting, I flew halfway across the world to meet her face to face. Although, to help fulfill her fantasies, we really met face to blindfold. I took her body and mind on an intense journey through sexual sensation, as fire drew pleasure from gentle touch, stimulating pain, the constraints of bondage, and mind-blowing orgasm. Through those hours of pleasure, Fire made a conscious choice to give her whole self to me, body and mind, while I committed to God her dedicated soul, where in heaven we would live for eternity. In the evening over dinner, I wrote down the rules that she and I would live by. I do not believe a person should be expected to just know what rules to follow, unless they are clear, discussed completely, and in writing, where they can be reproduced for discussion as the relationship evolves. After a few changes were negotiated, Fire willingly signed her name, promising to live by her rules and to accept the discipline earned by breaking them. The rules were all very simple. Number 1. When addressing me, the only appropriate terms are my master or sir. 2. Always speak in a polite and respectful manner, even when we disagree. It is always appropriate to say, my master, please pause and listen to me for a moment. 3. I will always allow Fire to explain herself before I decide, issue, or administer discipline. Amending or eliminating the punishment, though, is solely at my discretion. 4. If I make a request, Fire will make every effort to fulfill my request. 5. I will always understand that her children come first in our relationship. I will understand her personal family constraints as she will understand mine. 6. The adult male she lives with shall only be referred to as the roommate. She shall never speak his name or legal title. 7. Fire's body belongs to me. She shall give it to me freely, for my use and pleasure. She shall never hide it from me, nor reject my requests without legitimate cause. She shall never allow another man to lay eyes on her private places, or lay hands where only mine belong. 8. As we are oceans apart the majority of the time, specific photo requests will be fulfilled as soon as practical. All photographs sent without being requested will be very much appreciated. 9. Anytime clothing is provided or a specific outfit is requested, Fire is to wear only what is requested, without any deviation, until permission is provided to change her wardrobe. 10. When Fire earns a punishment and is ordered to self-impose what is assigned, she will do so fully and completely. 11. I will continually learn about and will always consider her medical and physical limitations throughout the relationship. Fire will continue to improve her medical and physical limitations for the benefit of herself, her children, and our relationship. 12. Predetermined hard limits will always be honored. 13. Our safe word is red. The safe word is only to be used in two special conditions. A. When Fire feels she is in a situation that could cause physical injury. And B. When she is in a situation that has placed her into a mental state that she cannot cope with without discussion. After the written agreement was signed, I held Fire in my arms for what seemed like a blissful eternity. You're such a good girl, I told her, and you are forever my girl. Fire backed up a slight bit and placed her hands on my chest. Looking straight into my eyes, she said, my master, Please pause and listen to me for a moment. I smiled, proud of her for remembering the rules and using them so soon to get me to listen. I told her, "Please, Fire, tell me what's on your mind." She said to me, "My master, am I just a girl to you?" "No, Fire. Good girl is a term of endearment," I assured her. "You would rather not hear me call you a bad girl, I can promise you." "No, master, I don't want to be a bad girl for you ever. The thing is," she continued, "I tell my daughter that she's a good girl when she does something well. I feel a little awkward hearing those same words from you. You see, words have real meaning to me. Could you please find something else to say? Something more mature than girl?" I was proud of Fire for standing up for herself and sharing how she truly felt. I want my words of praise to be a reward, so she knows how much I love her and appreciate the gift of submission that she has promised. "My sweet Fire," I said, "I need time to think about this. Allow me the night to think it over." "Thank you, my master," she said with an appreciative smile. I smiled back before I said, "I'm exhausted. Let's go to bed. We have a busy day tomorrow." Before we got into bed, I folded back the covers and properly positioned the pillows the way I preferred them to be placed. I said to her, "Fire, I would like you to sleep on the right side of the bed. Notice, though, how I've positioned your pillow. When we are together, I want you to ensure that the top corner of your pillow is moved down, touching the bottom corner of my pillow. Just act as if the space above your pillow no longer exists, and do not push your pillow up above this point." "Yes, my master, I will do my best," she promised. While she may not initially understand the reason for the sleeping position that I required, the feeling of closeness as our bodies were perfectly spooning together, as if God had designed each of us to fit together like a perfect puzzle, should lead her to understanding. Full of love and full of joy, we closed our eyes and fell asleep. I woke up early the next morning and quietly slipped out of bed to allow Fire more time to sleep. I brewed a pot of coffee and sat down to think of a more appropriate way to call her a good girl. I searched through synonyms of positive words, such as good, satisfied, pleasing, but nothing I found felt right. I began to look through lists of foreign translations of key words and phrases with the same meanings. At last, I finally found the perfect word that would roll off my tongue when I say it, and has an incredibly positive meaning. I wrote it down and continued my search. While it was important for Fire that she be called something more appropriate when she's making me happy, I shall also have a name for her in the unlikely event that she has disappointed me, though I hope I would never have to call her by that name. Alas, I came across a Samoan word for disappointing that would fit the need. I checked the clock and realized that Fire had slept for 10 hours. I wonder how relaxed she must be right now without the demands of her daily life weighing her down. Plus, I must have completely worn her out the day before in the bedroom. I picked up the phone and ordered room service, making sure there was enough variety to please any appetite. Then I retrieved the bathrobe from the closet and brought it to her bedside. There was no reason to force Fire to be naked while sitting at the breakfast table. I leaned over and kissed her lips to wake her up. She reached her arms up and wrapped them around my head to pull me in closer and kissed me deeply. "Good morning, my love," she said. "And good morning to you as well," I replied. Her smile was a delightful treat for my morning. Fire excused herself and went to the restroom, while I returned to the chair at the desk to make some notes in my journal. Within a few minutes, the room service attendant was knocking on my door with our delivery. I brought it into the room and set up the dining room table where we could eat. When Fire emerged from the bathroom, she saw the food and darted straight for the table. She was just about to pick up a slice of bread when I called out to her. "Stop right there," I stated. She froze in place. "Go to the bed and get a pillow," I requested, "and bring it to me." As I sat down in a chair by the table, Fire went and retrieved a pillow and was now standing in front of me, holding it with both hands, waiting for additional instructions. I took the pillow from her hands and placed it on the floor between my legs. I held her hands and helped her kneel down between my feet. Without question, she got into position and looked up into my eyes. "My sweet and loving Fire, you asked me to find a new way to tell you that you're being a good girl and that I'm pleased with you in every way," I said. She smiled and nodded her head excitingly. I proceeded to tell her, "I have chosen your new name, and when I address you by your new name, I hope you will be proud and know that I love you dearly and that you make me undeniably happy." She replied, "I'm interested. Let's hear it." I frowned sternly and said, "No, that is not the appropriate response. Are you sure you're deserving of the gift of a new name?" She looked stunned and then quickly replied, "I'm sorry, my master. Please, let me try again." "Yes, my master. I will accept it gladly." "Very good. My sweet Annalisa, my soulmate, you are a blessing to me. And when I call you Annalisa, know how much you are loved." Annalisa smiled ear to ear and threw her arms around me and said, "Thank you, my master. I'm honored to have the name you have given me." I pulled her face toward me and gently kissed her before I said, "Annalisa, you make me an incredibly happy man. I must tell you, though, if I am ever thoroughly disappointed in your behavior and you have chosen to break one of our rules, your name will be revoked and replaced with another name of complete and opposite meaning. I will call you Fia Fia. If I should call you Fia Fia, know that while I still love you, I'm quite disappointed in your behavior. While you may be in temporary hot water and may be corrected and disciplined, forgiveness will be just as swift, and you will earn your name back, my sweet Annalisa." Her face showed signs of concern and understanding while I spoke to her. I'm sure there were many thoughts going through her head, but I hope that she didn't get too lost in them. I helped Annalisa stand up and invited her to join me at the breakfast table. While we ate, I said to her, "I want to explore your city and see what it offers. I may want to live here someday soon. Make sure you eat plenty, as you'll need your energy." Annalisa and I ate until we were satisfied, though I did have to encourage her repeatedly to finish her sausage. I knew I was pressing her buttons when I said how important protein was in the morning for a healthy body. I finally said, "My love, if you are finished, let's get dressed and go see your city. I have another dress for you to wear." We both went to the bathroom and brushed our teeth. I then went to the closet to get the dress. It was a simple light blue dress with a plunging V-shaped neckline and a short pleated skirt that barely reached her knees. I hung it on the hook on the back of the door. I stood behind Annalisa, untied her robe, and slid it off her body. I moved her hair to the side and began to kiss her neck. I reached around and began to glide my hands along the ample mounds of her breasts, then played with her now firm and perky nipples. I could feel her arch her back and move her butt in circles, rubbing against the growing erection underneath my boxers. I moved my right hand from the peaks of her breasts down between her legs. Except, instead of feeling the warm, moist softness of her pussy, I was feeling the outside of her panties. Why the fuck are you wearing panties? Didn't I very specifically tell you you were not to wear them all weekend? I asked sternly. I was not happy, and I demanded an answer. As instructed, you were not wearing them when you arrived yesterday, I reminded her. Annalisa looked panicked and stuttered when she finally said, I'm sorry, Master. I forgot. I saw them in my purse and just put them on without thinking. I looked at her curiously. Do tell me why exactly you were carrying underwear in your purse? She pouted a bit, then said, Yesterday, as I was about to leave my apartment, I felt very naked under my dress. The wind was blowing, and I was afraid of showing my backside to the people walking on the sidewalk. However, as I walked closer to the hotel, I thought of your words. Wanting to follow your directions as carefully as I could, I stopped and took them off while still outside. Then you decided it was okay to wear them today? I asked. No, sir. I just wasn't thinking, she pleaded. Please, forgive me, my master. I never expected to be forced to punish my Annalisa so soon, and just the thought of that hurt me. However, I cannot establish a poor precedence this early in our relationship, allowing blatant violations of the rules we had just agreed upon. I held Annalisa by her chin with my left hand and said, Of course I will forgive you. I will always forgive you after you've submitted to your assigned punishment. I pulled her panties down, and she stepped out of them. Open your mouth, I instructed. I placed the waistband of her underwear between her teeth. Now close your mouth tightly. Do not try to speak or allow your panties to fall from your mouth. I walked her to the only empty corner of the hotel room and stood her facing the wall, completely naked, with her mouth occupied holding her underwear. I said to her, Because this is the first infraction, and because I would rather get out of here sooner than later and get some fresh air, you will only be required to stay in place for 3 minutes. Spend those minutes thinking about our rules and reminding yourself to put more effort into following them. Yes, master, she replied through her closed teeth. I returned to my seat at the table and poured myself a fresh cup of coffee with cream and chocolate syrup. I sipped on it while gazing upon Annalisa's beautiful, curvy butt cheeks. I wanted more than anything to walk straight over to her and bend her over and make love to her right then and there. But that wouldn't be a punishment, would it? There'd be plenty of time for frolicking later in the day. After a few minutes, I stood up and went to the bathroom to get the dress that I was about to place on her earlier. From behind, I lifted the dress over her head and helped her get it on. I turned her around and took the panties out of her mouth and gave her a kiss. I tossed the underwear over my shoulder and told her that they would be unnecessary the rest of the weekend. I asked her to finish whatever she needed to take care of so we could move on with our day while I finished getting dressed myself. We left the hotel, strolled down the sidewalk, talking about life, her hometown, and our ideas for the future together.